Hello cyberspace, my name is Garrett Mills and welcome to episode 5 in my Minecraft 1.7.10 modding series. In this episode we're going to take a look at crafting recipes, so we're going to do shaped crafting, shapeless crafting, and smelting recipes. And so if you haven't, I recommend you start at the beginning of this series so that you can get your mod set up to this point. You can do that by clicking the little white eye in the top right hand corner. And if you've done that already, we're going to go ahead and get started. So crafting recipes, like items and blocks, are registered through the game registry, which is the same mechanic that we used to register our blocks and items in the last tutorials. So we want to create a package where we can store different crafting recipes in. So we're going to create a new package for our tutorial mod. We're going to name it crafting. Whatever you name it doesn't really matter. And so ideally you would have a class for each different section of your mod. So say you had like decorative blocks, and then you had like an energy mechanic, and then you had like, I don't know, machines. Each of those different things would have their own crafting class. So you'd have all the crafting recipes for decorative blocks in one class, all the crafting recipes for machines in one class, etc. Just to kind of keep things organized. So we're going to have tutorial crafting as our recipe, or as our class. And then in here, we're going to have the function public static void init. And then in here is where we're going to call our actual crafting recipes. But before we set those up, we need to have this be called from the common proxy so that the crafting recipes get registered on both the client and server side. So we're going to open up the common proxy, and in the init function of our common proxy, we're going to call tutorial crafting dot init. So we hit enter and it should automatically import the class and call init inside our init function in the common proxy. So now that we've got that done, we can go ahead and register our recipes inside this init function. So the first recipe we're going to take a look at is the smelting, the furnace. So in Minecraft, when you put things in a furnace, it takes the input, it uses it up after a certain amount of time and with a certain amount of fuel, and it spits it back out as a different item. So these are registered through the add smelting function on the game registry. So what we're going to do is for our tutorial mod item, the tutorial item, we're going to create a smelting recipe for that. So in our tutorial crafting, we're going to call game registry dot add smelting. So for this first argument in the add smelting, this is the item that you're putting into the furnace. So it does, just for demonstration, it doesn't really matter. We'll just pick something. So we'll say if you smelt a baked potato. So items.baked potato, that's what goes into the crafting panel in the furnace, the input slot of the furnace. Then the output is going to be our tutorial item. So this is going to be tutorial items dot tutorial item. So then this output is going to be what item the furnace spits out. So we want it to spit out a tutorial mod item that we created. So this is in the class tutmod items and dot tutorial item. And then the final argument is the XP. So the way smelting in Minecraft works is for certain things you get a certain amount of XP for taking that out of a furnace. So for example, when you smelt iron in a furnace, you get a small amount of XP when you take the iron out of the furnace. And so this last value is a float for how much XP you get. So we're going to say 0.5F. Now for reference, iron is 0.7F and diamonds are 1.0F. So just sort of give you an idea. So even though we've put this output item in here, we can see that this function still has an error. And so if we highlight over this, it says that it's wanting an item stack for this. Now the only difference between an item stack and a normal item is you can have multiple items in an item stack. So what this is saying is we can customize the number of output items. So we could say for one baked potato output 3 tutorial items or whatever. So we need to have this be an instance of the item stack class. So we can do this by, for this argument, typing new item stack and then putting our item inside here. Then we just need to import the item stack there. And so you could in theory make this output more than one of these tutorial items per smelting job per baked potato put in. So now that we've got our smelting recipe, we'll just take a look. We put in a baked potato and it outputs a tutorial item and it gives 0.5 F worth of XP. So we can test this out by hitting run and launching the game. So while this is loading, I just wanted to talk for a second about why we register recipes in the init function instead of the pre-init function. And that's simply because if you register recipes in the pre-init function, there's a possibility that not all of the blocks for the game or the blocks for a mod that you interact with will be loaded. And so we load the blocks in the pre-init and then we register the crafting recipes in the init, because by the time you get to the init function in the common proxy, you know for a fact that all of the usable blocks and items in the game have been registered. So now that we're in the game, we can test out our smelting recipe. So we're just going to get a furnace and we're going to get some coal and we need some baked potatoes. So now if we throw on a furnace, put some fuel in it, we can put baked potatoes in the top, and once we smelt them, we should get tutorial items. So 1 baked potato equals 1 tutorial item. So our smelting recipe works. So now we're going to jump out of the game and take a look at creating shapeless crafting recipes. So the way we add shapeless recipes to the game is through another game registry function. This function is the add shapeless recipe. So the way we add shapeless recipes to the game is through another game registry function. This one is the add shapeless recipe function. So the first parameter is going to be the output. What are we outputting from this recipe? Well, this is going to be a tutorial item, and this has to be in the form of an item stack like it was on the smelting recipe. So we're going to have a new item stack of tutmod items.tutorial item. So this is going to output a tutorial item, and then the second parameter is going to be an array of the items that have to be in the crafting window for this to be accepted. So I'm going to type out the notation for this and then I'll explain it. So new object square bracket curly bracket. So this notation looks a little complicated. It's really not. In Java there are defined arrays, and those arrays have to be containing certain types of things. So what we're doing here, the first thing is this new keyword, so it's telling us we're going to have a new instance of something. That something in this case is the object class. So the object class in Java is the root of all classes. Every class created in Java, unless when you're working in user space Java, every class created will extend the object class at some point. You may extend 4 other classes before you get there, but at some point this class, this tutorial crafting class, the main class, every class is going to extend object. So this object class is sort of like a blanket acceptance for any classes. And so then this square bracket tells Java that what follows is going to be an array of items that extend the object class. So we're going to have an array of objects. And then inside these curly braces is where we put those objects. So let's say we want our crafting recipe to require a baked potato and a piece of coal. So we can do items dot baked potato, comma, items dot coal. So what this does is the item class eventually, once you get up to the top of the tree, extends the object class. And so we are packaging these two items into an array of objects, and we're passing that to the add shapeless recipe, which tells Minecraft that you need a baked potato and a piece of coal in the window to create a tutorial item. So now that we've got that written, we can go ahead and launch up the game. So once the game loads, we can go ahead and grab a crafting table, which I've already got, and then we need some baked potatoes and some coal. So now, if we open up this crafting table, we can drop a baked potato and a piece of coal, and we get a tutorial item. And because it's shapeless, it doesn't matter where in the crafting table I place these two items, I always get a tutorial item. And so now the last type of crafting recipe we're going to take a look at is the shaped crafting recipe. The shaped crafting recipe is the ones like for Minecraft tools and certain kinds of blocks and crafting tables where they have to be in a specific pattern to create the object. So in Minecraft this is done in kind of an interesting way, but it's going to again be another game registry. So game registry dot add recipe. So this function takes two parameters. It takes, first of all, the output. So we're going to have a new item stack, and let's just this time say we want to output our tutorial block. So we're going to have tutmod blocks dot tutorial block. So this recipe is going to output a tutorial block. Then the second parameter is going to be another array of objects. So we're going to have new object and then curly braces. Now in here is where we actually define the shape of the recipe. So imagine, if you will, you've got 3 rows in a crafting table. Each of those rows has 3 slots. So the first 3 parameters in this list need to be strings, and they have to, this is important, they have to use double quotes. If they don't, it won't work right. So each of these strings is one row, starting at the first. So this is the top row, this is the middle row, this is the bottom row of a crafting window. And then each of these 3 characters is one slot. So this is the top left slot, the top middle slot, the top right slot, so on and so forth on each of the different rows. So to craft an object in a pattern, we just need to define the recipe in a certain shape. So say we want to make it so you have to have a 4x4 square of tutorial items to create a tutorial block. So let's say our top row, we're going to need 2, and it doesn't matter what letter you use. I recommend using capital letters though, it just keeps things cleaner. So we're going to have II space so that the last slot can be empty. Our middle row is also going to be II space. So imagine now we've got in the top left hand corner of our 3x3 crafting window, the top 4 in the top left hand, a 2x2 square, and then the bottom row can just be empty because we only need a 2x2 square. Now the brilliant thing about the way this is implemented is they make it very clean, so you can omit all these spaces. So I can take out this space here, I can take out this space here, and then I can just completely omit this last string, this last row. And so what this tells Minecraft is, as long as there is a 2x2 square anywhere in the crafting window, it's fine. So if I make a 2x2 square of tutorial items in the top right hand corner, versus the bottom left-hand corner, it doesn't matter as long as they're in this 2x2 square. Then after this, we need to tell Minecraft what each of these, what the I stands for. So in single quotes, it's very important, single quotes, we have a capital I and then comma, and then we need to tell it what class this is. So that I represents our tutorial item. So to mod items dot tutorial item. So looking back, what this tells the game registry is we're going to add a recipe that outputs a tutorial block. For that block, the I, which is our tutorial item, has to be in a 2x2 square anywhere in the crafting window. So we can now run the game and load it up. So now that we're in the game, we can jump over to our crafting table, and I should be able to put 4 tutorial items anywhere in here, and it gives me a tutorial block. So I can move these over here like this. I can move them down here. It doesn't matter as long as it's a 2x2 square. I can get a tutorial block, and there we go. So it's just the basic crafting mechanic in Minecraft, so that should enable you to do some pretty powerful things. Now you can have more than just one type of item in here. So say you wanted to have it so that it required the tutorial item and a baked potato. Well, you could put a bee in here, and then you would just tell Minecraft what the bee is. So you would have bee, then items dot baked potato. And so you can do some pretty powerful things by just adding different letters to this. Alright guys, thanks for watching episode 5 in my Minecraft 1.7.10 development tutorial series. As always, I'll be down in comments if you have questions, comments, you need help with anything, or if you just want to show off what you built. Be sure to get connected with me on Twitter, on Google+, on email, via my blog. Links to all that are down in the video description below. Be sure to get subscribed so that you don't miss any of the videos in this series or any of my other coding series. And as always, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.